Today we're going to be doing Zach's Reacts. This is going to be the first video I'm doing in this series, and if you guys like it, I might do more in the future. But today in this video, we're going to react to a couple different items that I have prepared. Some of them are things that I've already seen, but I'm going to talk about why they're important to me and stuff like that. But in the future, in the comments of this video, comment down anything you would like me to react to or to look at. Anything regarding landscape design or design principles in general, or different gardens that you think are cool. Anything in that kind of nature, and I'll definitely go take a look at it. And hopefully we'll have some fun with this. But for today, the first thing I wanted to start it with, this is the Perennial Plant Association. And they have recently done the 2025 Perennial Plant of the Year. And this is one I saw on Facebook initially, and I thought I would talk about it. But the one they've done for next year is the Clustered Mountain Mint. I'm not going to even try to say that Latin name. Anyone who can speak Latin, let me know how that's pronounced. But clustered mountain mint's one of my favorite native plants. So the clustered mountain mint is native to mainly the eastern half of the United States. But it is a very good native plant for attracting pollinators. This is a video of one that have grown before, but you kind of see just how many bees and different, with a large variety of different insects on it that just really love it. So I think that's a really good native plant to produce. And just like it says here, sites where you have mountain mint, if you plant it, it'll freely naturalize and start to mingle with other plants. And I think that's pretty true of a lot of mint species. As soon as you put them in the ground, they're kind of a little tough to remove since they're pretty vibrant and pretty tough. Overall, I find them to be a very hardy plant and one that adds a really kind of unique, kind of minty light green color to your garden space, and a really interesting aroma as well. So it's definitely one that I recommend doing. So for my next reaction I want to do, I wanted to watch a clip from a YouTuber that I really like, called BOO. And he recently did a video on a series he does on Hermitcraft talking about shape. And I wanted to watch that clip with y'all.
I am really, really proud of this build, and you will wonder why. Why, since it's so stupid, would you be so proud of it? And I will explain it to you here on my birthday. For a very long time, I've been either using reference images of art on Pinterest or wherever I find them to help find cool shapes for buildings and stuff like that. And if I didn't do that...
So I really like what he's saying here about how he's using reference images to create some of the unique shapes and how he's building things in Minecraft. And I think that's really true of any kind of artist's endeavor. I think having a good variety of different references kind of helps you as an individual to shape the ideas that you have in your head. I know that's definitely something that I look into. Even when it's planning garden spaces, I look at different ideas that other people have done, different color combinations, different plant combinations, and be able to see what other people have done and to be able to take that and then build your own ideas on top of that. So I think that's pretty insightful.
Studying shapes. I've been studying the fundamentals, and you will listen to this on my birthday. The fundamentals of shapes and what makes, stop yelling, what makes a shape so nice to look at? Why do I look at something and think that makes me feel good? I'm only just
I think that's a good question. Why do certain shapes make you feel good? Why do certain combinations of certain things are appealing when other things aren't? And I think that's a really good question that we should dive into in a future video.
dipping my toes into it. But one thing that I have understood is coincidences are very appealing. And sometimes we don't even notice them. There's some coincidences here. These are appealing golden rectangle angles that I've put in here. Don't worry. Only a genius would know what I'm talking about. You can see all these shapes much better here in this world where I did the planning of this build. This helps. So this awning line, like this, if you continue it, you will reach this, which goes up and back. And
So I'm going to pause it right here again. I really like what he's pointing out, how he's using different lines in different parts of the structure to connect to one another. And I think that's a really good example of how to use the element of line in landscape design or design in general, because lines kind of direct the viewer's eyes towards things. So having lines on different parts of your pieces that point together or in parallel helps to provide emphasis to a focal point, or just to create a sense of harmony within the piece in general. If you have a bunch of lines, especially in a landscape design where they're all going all over the place and there's not a pattern or a rhythm to it, appears more chaotic. And when you have lines that work together, you have a more sense of formality and structure to the space, as well as to be able to have different elements flow together. So I think that's really cool.
that's kind of a coincidence, but it's not coincidental because it's based off of some actual lines that meet at a point over here for a reason that's hard to.
Sorry, I'm gonna pause again. I really like that line. It's a coincidence, but it's not a coincidence. And I think that's a really powerful quote that you can use in any type of design.
Explain. But I'm learning, and also a coincidence that if you kind of follow this line up, it then goes up and out and up like that. I'm happy. I think this is
I also really like how he did that um, with the bubbles or the smoke coming out of the house. Having that line kind of have a bit of curve to it, which kind of contrast all the straight lines that are kind of angled in the house. So I think it adds a nice bit of contrast to the piece, which is another element and principle of landscape design. And if you're curious to learn more about those types of things, I did a whole video on it. It was actually one of the first videos on my channel. So I'll have it linked right up here. So I definitely recommend to go watch that if you want to learn more about this type of language that he's talking about with lines and different elements and principles of design. But moving on, I have a couple pictures of some different landscape designs that I wanted to go through with y'all. Mainly talking about different color palettes and textures that I find really appealing. So this is the first picture. This is of the annual beds at the Bentonville Temple. And I took this picture because I really love how all the different colors and textures play well together. I'll point out a couple of my favorites in this, but I really love these dark red pansies and how they kind of match with these red dianthus. I'll try to move my mouse so you can kind of see what I'm pointing at. But I really like that red and how it kind of connects to these purple stems with the yellow flowers. I believe of the ornamental cabbages are making those flowers. I don't know. Overall, like, and with the other yellow flowers that are in this piece, as well as the white, which kind of pop out along with the pink tulips. Overall, I feel like the color harmony in this piece really flushes out pretty well. I think the little bits of blue that are sprinkled around in this piece also add a nice bit of contrast with the white against a lot of those brighter colors. And I think this is a good reference piece to anyone who's trying to figure out how to do different color palettes. So this is another picture of a color palette that I like. And I think for this one, I kind of want to point out the textures in this one. So we have these petunias, which create this kind of color matte as our foreground. But then we have another shape of these black-eyed Susans, which look like, to me, like yellow parasols, you know? And then we have these beautiful purple fountain grasses in the background. I think overall the different textures and as well as the appealing colors of that purple and yellow look really nice together. So here's another one that I really liked. And this one's a more, I think mainly petunias and verbena, with looks like 3 or 4 different colors of verbena and the pink petunias. Get another really nice color palette together. I really like how the dark purple of that verbena kind of hides in the shadow, and then you have that white verbena that really pops against the pink. Sorry, I'm not feeling super good, so sorry if my voice is a little muffled. But this is at Crystal Bridges, an art museum, but has 100 acres of trails and grounds with a lot of native plants. And this is a mostly golden ragwort in a mass planting on this hill. I'll play this for you. But just absolutely gorgeous. I think this is a great example of how mass plantings can be used to create a really powerful sense of space. Having that yellow carpet dance through the forest is so gorgeous. So you can just imagine sitting there with the wonderful smells and having that golden hue around you. Pretty powerful of how all that plays together. So I definitely, I really like the mixed look of things, but having a mass planting can also create a quite powerful atmosphere for your space. So this is in North Carolina at the Duke's Gardens. And this is the Japanese garden section of the place. There was this really cool Japanese gate that you entered into the space. And I think this was really cool. I really love having that unique style of fencing. You never realize how cool fencing is until you start looking into all the really cool ones that people have made. If you ever look in a landscape design book, well, this one's definitely one that inspires me quite a bit. I really like the different textures of those green foliage. I'm not quite sure what either one of those are on either side, but having that mass planting on both sides really helped to create a sense of space for that doorway, as well as that really pretty fence line that goes through and the moss on the roof of the gateway. Overall, I mean, you just feel like you're entering into a special place. And I think that's overall the main purpose of a good landscape design is create that sense of space. And I think this does it really well. That's definitely something that I would want to try to emulate. So this is moving on to our last two ones I'm going to be reacting to. These are both things that I have made. So both of them were made while I was at BYU, Idaho as a horticulture student. And this one is a 2 points perspective kind of sketch that I did. And this is for like a little Japanese like kind of tea hut with some deciduous trees around it and some plants. And again, I really like this one when I was still trying to learn how to sketch trees and stuff like that. So I have a lot of fun memories sketching this out at our apartment. But overall, I still really like this one. Landscape design is definitely not perfect, random little grass patches, but I think it's a really good practice to do 2 point perspective landscape design drawings, especially when you're trying to design a space on paper. Helps you to get a better feel for the space. So this last one is a software called Vizterra, a 3D modeling software for landscape design. And this was I believe this was my final project for the class. We worked on it with a team of three, I believe. But I did the primary landscape design. Trying to remember, it's been a little while. But this is for a house, I believe in Oregon or Washington, but somewhere in the Pacific Northwest. So this was kind of someone's kind of dream home. There's like pretty much spare no expense landscape. So this is a shot of the from the back porch of the home, and they wanted this water feature that went into a pool, like a natural pool, right in the back of their house. So this is the landscape design with a little bridge going over the creek. This is the paper overview of that. So you kind of see the house here. This is the driveway, and then they had a shed in the back. So it kind of had this kind of awkward property shape here that we had to work with. They also wanted a basketball court, and back here are some garden boxes and trampolines. That's what those white circles represent. So yeah, it was quite a challenging space, but I think it worked out pretty well. I'm trying to remember all these trees, but I know some of them were fruit trees. I think probably these ones along the back here. But overall, I think I like the design pretty well. This is the colored version of that printout. Again, water feature that empty into a pool with a private deck and sitting area around it. Overall, really fun design. But that's it for today. I hope you like this video. Sorry, my voice might not be very good. I think I'm coming down with something, but overall, I would hope to do more of these Zach Reacts videos in the future. So if you have anything at all that you wanted me to look at, it could be your own personal garden project, a garden that you've been to, or maybe you really liked some colors that worked well together. Maybe you liked something that someone online did, just anything that kind of fits in the premise of this channel. Feel free to send it to me in the comments with a link to it, and I'll be sure to go visit it. But with that, thank you for watching Garden Theory. Feel free to subscribe if you like the channel, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day.